Welcome. Take a breath. This is living with intention. Intentional living means doing what matters most on purpose. Today's conversation is an invitation to slow down, reflect, and choose intentionally. Here are our hosts, Vernon and Gieselle.
Welcome. My name is Vernon Roberts.
And I'm Gieselle Poveromo. Woo! Thanks for joining our podcast, Living with Intention. We're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
This episode 1 is Intention versus Autopilot.
Excited to be with you.
Yeah. And Gieselle, before we start, I really want to start with something simple, but I think it's really important, especially for this first episode, is we're talking about living with intention. And most of us aren't living with intention, not because we don't care.
Right.
But I think it's because we're living on autopilot, because maybe we don't believe we don't have enough. We don't have enough time, enough energy, enough permission, enough space. And I think autopilot is what happens when scarcity is running the show. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're busy, and I think the plates are full, and I think many people, me included, we feel overwhelmed. And there is this, I just got to do it. I just got to get through the day mindset. I think a lot of us just don't have the space to live intentionally.
And I want to be really clear here, because autopilot, Gieselle, I don't think it's laziness. And I don't even think it's a lack of discipline. But I think it's a response. We need to be in control of our responses, and sometimes those are the things that are on autopilot. When I think of scarcity, I think it really says, I don't have time right now, I'll focus on myself later. Or this isn't the season or the timing. And Gieselle, let me ask you this. Have you ever said this to yourself, or have you heard a colleague or family member say it? I just need to get through this week.
Vernon, I probably said it 5 minutes before we got on this call.
And that's
the truth.
The issue about autopilot. It's hard
right.
to get off of it. And we talk about this thing about scarcity and abundance. And here's my thought about that. I can imagine a piece of pie, and scarcity is, gosh, there's only one piece of pie for everyone, and I've got to protect my piece. I've got to work every day so I don't lose. Nobody takes my piece of the pie. And I think that's exhausting. And when I think of abundance, I think of, gosh, the pie is huge. And as long as we're all focused and we're all moving in the right direction, we can all have our own piece of our own pie.
Yes, yeah.
But if we're constantly worrying about someone else taking our piece, our energy is focused in the wrong direction. And that's why I think when we think about this whole scarcity thing, that's why, Gieselle, I think New Year's resolutions struggle. Because most of them are born from a place of scarcity. Like, Gieselle, I'm behind. Or
yeah.
I need to fix myself, or I need to lose weight, or I should be further along now.
All the shoulds that we
should all over ourselves, as they say.
We don't even have to edit that. And Vernon, as I listen to you, it's this whole notion of, when I talk to people, there's just so much on everyone's plate. And I think this notion of intentionality, we can't do it all. So I think that it's getting really clear about, what do I want the day to be about? What do I want the week to be about? What do I want this year to be about? Now, we'll go off course. We're human. Usually I start my to-do list, and by noon I'm like, okay, well, that was a nice thought. And the reality is, I will usually, when I'm intentional, I'll get one of those big things that I wanted to get accomplished done. So it's very much about the reality. We're human. We're not superhuman. We don't wear capes. We can't do it all. So it's about what is the most meaningful people, actions we're going to take to create this beautiful life, profession, etc.
And what you're talking about is focus, really, around intention. And because, as you said, when life gets busy,
Yeah.
and it always does,
Yeah,
our resolutions disappear.
that's right.
And we all know that at the end of January, most people have abandoned their resolutions for the new year. Gieselle, here's the thing I think is important to realize that it's not because we failed, but it's because these resolutions were never designed to live inside of a real life.
Oh,
Right?
that's
Never
a
designed
mic
that
drop.
way.
Yes,
But as you just said, intention is different.
yes.
Intention is that abundance thinking that I was talking about. Now, when I talk about abundance, I don't mean more stuff, because we all have a lot of stuff. That's not the abundance I'm talking about. Abundance as in choice. I think the world suffers when we feel like everything's a binary choice.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's more than that. So I think intention says, I don't have time for everything, but I have time for this.
What's most important in my year, in my month, in my week, right now. I think that that's exactly right. And then if I want to bring us back to this notion of intentionality. I think there's a level of to your point, what's real here? What's an authentic goal or hope I have in this moment? So for me, another quick metaphor, I was a runner. I'm becoming a runner, re-entering the running world. And I started running later in life. So I'm not going to run an under 4-hour marathon at this stage of my life. I can run one. So it's about the intentionality of realistically, with all that I have going on, what is a realistic time or what's a realistic goal? Perhaps it's the beauty of doing the darn thing. So, I'm really processing what you said around New Year's resolutions. I won't speak for anybody but myself. I know what happens to me is I set the goal, and then if I'm off the mark, it's the perfection Gieselle comes in and I say, well, scrap it. I missed it. I think that is a beautiful moment to get intentional and say, I can do this, but let me reconstruct, given the current reality, what is a realistic, intentional goal here?
Yeah, resetting is not failure.
No.
It's a realization of the choices that we've made and where we are today. It's like that GPS.
That's a really good metaphor as well.
I got to put in where we are to get to where we're going. And, also when I think of intention, it's I can choose, like you said, one small thing and do it on purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't need to have a perfect plan to start. And sometimes we all say, well, let me wait till I get this perfect plan together.
That's right.
But we don't have to have that. And like you said, did you draw out this running plan that you're going to do over the next 6 months, or did you just start running?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's loving ourselves, setting the goal, and knowing that the journey is going to be imperfect, but the work is really the journey. And the self-love to say, all right, I need to readjust this. I got some things going on. It's not going to be a 4-hour marathon. The goal will be finish the thing, finish on 2 feet, put that medal around my neck, celebrate all of that. Whether it's 5 hours, 6 hours, the celebration of a body that could walk or run 26.2 miles. Side note, I'm not running a marathon anytime soon, but I am going to run a shorter race. So I put that out in the universe.
Yeah, and I totally agree these intentional choices. I do a lot of volunteering, and I've been doing this ministry for about 5 years at a nursing home. And then another opportunity arose where I joined that, and I realized in that moment that, am I stretching myself too thin? So I was so proud of myself, Gieselle. I wrote a letter to the leader and said, basically, I've been in this ministry for 5 years. I love it. what I'd like to do is I like to phase myself out over the next 3 months. And I can be a sub for you, but I can't do it regularly because I've picked up these other things. And Gieselle, in my past life, I would have tried to spin all the plates and then burned out on all of them. What intentionally happened here was the leader of that ministry said, hey, we found someone that can take your spot. If you can train them, that'd be great. And that happened all within the space of 4 to 5 weeks. And then I'm on to another thing, but I'm proud of myself because I noticed it. I made a choice. I didn't slink away because I was burned out. It's almost when we were talking earlier, you talked about saying no. No is powerful, and I wasn't saying no to the ministry, but I was saying no to don't overextend yourself. Be really intentional about the choices that you're making and look at the landscape.
Vernon, I'm getting very quiet, and what I will bring to this podcast, sometimes as we're talking, I literally get a physical, like the hair on my arm stood up when you were speaking right now. And what that says to me when that happens is it's an important thing to me, and perhaps it could be important to our listeners. That example is so significant because you loved yourself enough to say no to something, to say yes to things that energetically are more in line with how you want to live with intention. And I'm going to be very, very honest. It's almost hard to do. This morning before we got on to have this conversation, I thought, what did you say no to last year, Gieselle? And I'm being really honest. Not a lot. Not a lot. And that's an opportunity. And I know that. And what you're saying is so significant. To have the lives that we want and live with intention, it's important to be able to say no to things, for sure.
Yeah, and to even reframe things, it was starting to show up as guilt. I was thinking, can I leave this ministry?
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, you know what? I want to show up for them in my best way possible. And 5 years is a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And we all have to move on to other things. And I thought the reason I loved it, Gieselle, was that I felt like I did it properly. Got it set up. I didn't just wake up one day and go, I'm not showing up today. I'm not going in, because that wouldn't be fair.
Yes, there was a lot of love in your whole transitioning off. And I want to make sure the listeners are aware, I don't have a lot of guilt. When I look back and I said, all right, I didn't say no as much as perhaps I could have last year. The beautiful thing is the self-love that I have right now. I'm aware of that. And I'm moving into 26 at a space of, this is the work. This is what I want to do. And I'm going to say something a friend of mine said, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Right.
It's a no.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece of intentionality, saying no.
And as you said, and it's not always about getting it right. We always want to have it right, but it's noticing when we don't and then choosing again. That is okay.
That's it.
Sometimes we take that sinking ship down to the bottom of the ocean, when really, as long as we choose again in the proper way and exit that, with our heads held high, basically.
Yeah. You said, as we were thinking of the concept of this podcast, and I thought about it for a couple weeks later, you said something along the lines, every day we have an opportunity to start again, and that's it. Every day we get an opportunity to think about what's my intention for the day. And things are going to come up, and you're not going to be able to do all your things, but maybe you did one. And yay, there was intentionality to ensure that was in your day.
And I hope, as a listener to this podcast, I hope folks are thinking right now about what are some things in their lives that they need to say no to in order to do things that are, as Gieselle said, a hell yes.
Yeah. What's the hell yes? Get that in your head, in your brain, jot it down. The neuroscience, I love to geek out. The neuroscience, the more we write things down, the intentionality, it builds the neural pathways. So write it down, a couple things, and that's the work, to always ensure that there's space for those.
These are conversations that you and I had often in a coffee shop, and I love that we're doing it now and sharing them in a podcast. Gieselle, before we close, I really want to leave everyone listening here with one simple invitation. It's not a resolution. It's not a resolution, but it's a rehearsal. It's a rehearsal.
What is one small action, daily action, that you can take to live with intention for the day? What is one small action that you can take to live with intention today? That's the assignment. And write that down.
And when you write it down, notice what shifts in you when you do it from a place of really care instead of, gosh, I have to do it.
Yes.
So sit with that, everyone. Sit with that. And
I'm thinking what my action is that I can share and be accountable to this group. I'm getting quiet for a moment. My small action is going to be, I was literally practicing it on this call, bring my presence. I let go of some of our prepared notes, and I looked at my friend in his eyes, somebody who I just adore like a brother, and I said, let it go, let it go. And my intention for this call is to be present with Vernon and our new friends. So yeah, that is my goal for the next month. In that moment, let go of the phone, let go of all the distractions as best I can, and be in that moment with whoever I am with. That's me.
That's great.
What's yours, Vernon?
I was thinking about it as you were thinking.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about being more aligned with my vision. Instead of being scattered. And I felt earlier this week that I was a little scattered on all the things I wanted to do, and how can I align those things? And maybe, as we said earlier, you can't do everything. So maybe just because I'm thinking it, maybe I need to say no to that, to one of those things. So I'll be focused on that.
Ooh, that's good. And I see the seeds of future podcasts in what you just said. Helping our listeners with what is a vision, creating a vision, and helping them use that as their springboard for hell yes. Wow, this is awesome.
And I love that this is in February of 2026, because many of you have made New Year's resolutions, and maybe you've let go of the rope a little bit on that, and that's okay. I really believe that every day is a day to reset. We have 365 days to reset if we want to, as long as we're doing it with intention. So next time, what we're going to be talking about is why choose yourself, and why that sometimes feels selfish.
Oh, we're getting real. Oh, hello, all the moms that are going to join the call. That'll be a really good conversation. Oh, I look forward to that. So I'm excited about this. The next podcast is going to be about how to choose yourself without guilt, without abandoning your values or the people you love, and most importantly, yourself. What is one thing you're going to say no to so you can say hell yes to the right thing?
So that's an assignment for all those. So join us next month for Living with Intention.
12 conversations.
One intentional, and as Gieselle says, beautiful life.